There's many lessons that I've taken from my military service that are surprisingly easy to transfer across to business, and certainly the businesses that I work with will be familiar with some of what I discuss. But something that just strikes me at the moment that is incredibly important, and something that I'd like to think that many businesses have learnt a lesson when COVID struck, is the ability to have an immediate action, the ability to have a crisis plan in place. Now, many of you will be probably familiar with the risk of cybersecurity because we get told a lot about it. You know, we probably feel quite confident that should there be another pandemic, that there's some stuff that I know I could do. But we find ourselves in a situation yet again where global crisis and global issues, whilst you think may not touch your business, can. And the point here is, what precautions do you take to protect the interest of your business, your team, your customers, your stakeholders? Because if we just have this context that it isn't going to happen to me, then we might find ourselves in some challenge. And so one of the things that I always remember from my military days, and something that is incredibly transferable, was our immediate action. And the immediate action really focused on the ability to create or make an observation of the situation, and by virtue become incredibly situational aware. So right now, if you ask yourself, what's the situation? What's the situation in my business? What's the situation regionally? And then what is the situation in the wider context, nationally and globally? Now, when we understand the situation and what's going on, situation awareness then leads us to be able to structure planning. What resources do we need? What actions do we need to take? What's the intention that we need to achieve? What are the likely courses of action that we need to have in place? Now, it sounds as though some of this stuff can be quite comprehensive, and indeed it can. But some of it is really just training your mind and your brain and your approach to think differently, to start to take a real account of your situation. How are your customers reacting to what's going on at the moment? How are your stakeholders in terms of their nervousness or their buoyancy? And what about your customers? What are they looking at the moment? Are they tightening down the belts? And then you've got your team. What reassurance do you need to be able to give your team? Now, when we start to look at all of this, we can start to put some real strong contingency in place. And it's one of the things that I do with my clients, insofar as we are always planning for our quarterly activity. And within that, we focus on having a risk register. So we're always looking for that risk, being situational and aware, and in order to then be able to plan. And striving as hard as we can to make sure that we have the necessary resource to actually, survive the hit of a crisis. If you want, and just drop a comment in and ask for crisis plan, and I'll send you a copy of the immediate action plan that I have and that I use, and that will guide you through the ability to actually have a much greater insight to what's going on right now and how you can actually be prepared. And actually, by being prepared, you're going to be less fearful, worried, less anxiety about what's going on directly in terms of the correlation to you and your business. Hey, look, if you find any of this stuff, any of my musings, any of my ramblings at all useful, then know, like, and share it. It'd be great to have a conversation. So if you have any thoughts, any views on anything like this, then again, drop them in the comments and let's have a chat about it. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, Have a great day.